Hello friends, let us learn about the motor loop.
What motor loop is. Please don't get scared looking at this diagram. There are few things you have to know, and let me tell you what it is. M1, it stands for primary motor cortex. This is primary motor cortex. Okay. What is this PM? This is premotor cortex. And what is this? This is my supplementary motor cortex or motor areas, supplementary motor areas, right? And SS stands for somatosensory cortex, right? Let us start with the connection. So what is this? This is my basal ganglia, where this is the neostriatum and this is the globus pallidus. This is the globus pallidus. Then we have the pons, which is there in the brainstem area. Then here we have the cerebellum. The cerebellum forms a connection with my ventrolateral. Then we have, these are the nuclei of my thalamus, ventrolateral, ventroposterior lateral, ventrolateral, all these are the nuclei of the thalamus. This actually is the nuclei of the thalamus. This is my thalamus. I'm not going in detail with what nuclei is attached to what, but let me very grossly tell you what this motor loop is. Since it is a loop, it is going to be connected with each other. If you look at the Brodmann's area, here we see here 4. So primary motor cortex is also called as area number 4, Brodmann area number 4. Whereas your premotor and supplementary motor areas, they are called as the area number 6. Okay. Now, see here, what are the connections? First of all, let us go how they are connected to each other. So you can see here, your primary motor, premotor, supplementary motor, and the somatosensory cortex. They are connected to each other in a reciprocal way. Means they are connected to each other on both the ways, right? Okay. Then we know that there is a fiber coming from the primary motor cortex directly to the spinal cord, and it forms my corticospinal tract. Okay. There are some fibers directly coming from both the premotor and the supplementary motor areas also. They also form my corticospinal tract. Fine. So you've understood this connection, right? Basal ganglia, cerebellum, and thalamus. They are the part of my motor loop. What is happening? Look up here. What did I tell you? That supplementary motor areas have got the connection with the basal ganglia. So they are connected to the neostriatum of the basal ganglia, but no, they are connected to here. There is a ascending fibers, you can say, sorry, not the ascending, descending fibers. There is one-way connection from some supplementary motor areas to the neostriatum. But this basal ganglia, in turn, via the globus pallidus to the thalamus, and from the thalamus, they are connected back again to premotor to supplementary motor cortex. So we have seen here, see here, the ventrolateral nucleus of the thalamus. From here, there is a connection to the supplementary motor cortex. So this forms a part of the motor loop and is connected to the basal ganglia. Then what else? We have the basal ganglia being connected not only to my supplementary motor, they are also connected to my premotor as well as connected to my primary motor cortex. And other one, we already know that VPLN, ventroposterior lateral nucleus of thalamus, how well it is connected by thalamocortical fibers going to the somatosensory cortex, right? Now, this thalamus, it gets the input from the spinal cord via the ascending tracts. That's one way that they pass through the medulla to the pons, then midbrain, then to the thalamus. It also gets the information via the cerebellum also. So cerebellum forms the connections with the thalamus, and the thalamus in turn forms the connections with my cortex, right? So these cortical fibers, as they descend down, we'll see it later, as they descend down, they descend to ultimately to the spinal cord. But you know, as they are descending down, they give their collaterals to the cerebellum also. So cerebellum is one which has got the sensory input, from the proprioceptions. If I take an example of proprioception, it has got the sensory input. It gets a copy of the sensory input. It knows what your position of your body is in space. It also gets a copy of the motor execution plan. Okay, what is the plan that the motor cortex has made, and what command is going down to the spinal cord? There also it gets a copy from it. So this is how they kind of, form a loop. They keep each other into the circuit. They keep each other informed. So structures like your sensory cortex, motor cortex, basal ganglia, cerebellum, spinal cord, they all are the part of it.